Your Majesty, welcome. The throne, it's finally yours. But believe me, the challenges are immense. I am your advisor, and think of this as your first, most crucial briefing. We're going to dive into the playbook of the sultans who came before you, the ones who navigated the treacherous waters of the 16th century, to get you ready for what's ahead.
Look, the weight of an entire empire, we're talking 3 continents here, is now on your shoulders. Every single decision you make from this day forward is going to echo for centuries. So the real question isn't just, are you ready to rule? It's, are you ready to learn from the giants whose shadows you now stand in?
Okay, so my job here is pretty simple. I'm here to take 100 years of hard-won wisdom and distill it down into something you can actually use. The 1500s, man, that century was a real crucible for our empire. A time of unbelievable expansion, but also threats that could have wiped us out completely. It forged the very strategies we still rely on today. So, let's get started.
All right, first things first. Let's turn our attention to the West. Because out there, you have a persistent, powerful, and let's be honest, incredibly ambitious rival. They are a constant thorn in our side, threatening everything we've built in Europe. I'm talking, of course, about the Habsburgs.
You absolutely have to understand this enemy, Your Majesty. The Habsburgs, they're not some minor irritation. No, they are an empire, plain and simple. Their power base is in Austria, sure, but their influence spreads like a web, and I guarantee you they will fight you for every single inch of ground in Europe. They're the immovable object to your unstoppable force. This is the great game.
And your predecessor, the great Suleiman I, he got it. He understood this challenge better than anyone. Just look at the rhythm of his campaigns here. It's not just a list of dates, it's a drumbeat of conquest. 1521, boom, Belgrade falls. 5 years later, 1526, Hungary is completely defeated. And just 3 years after that, he's literally knocking on the gates of Vienna. This wasn't just random fighting, this was relentless, calculated pressure. It was a strategy designed to break their will to fight.
And this quote tells you everything you need to know about the mind of a true sultan. So picture this, Suleiman has just won a total crushing victory over Hungary. He finds the body of their young king, Louis II. And what does he say? He shows regret. Now, that's not weakness, far from it. That's a deep, profound understanding of power. He knew that even victory has a price, and sometimes a dead king can cause a lot more headaches than one who's just been defeated.
So here's the key takeaway, the big lesson. Suleiman's genius wasn't just about his armies, it was this two-pronged strategy, a masterful balancing act. See, he knew power rests on 2 pillars. On one hand, you have constant military pressure. On the other, you have smart diplomacy. Those peace treaties, they weren't him getting soft, no way. They were strategic moves, tools he used to lock in his gains and, just as importantly, to free up his armies to go deal with threats somewhere else. You have to remember this, the sword and the pen, they have to work together.
Okay, let's shift our focus. We're turning from west to east now. And if you think the Habsburgs were a problem, well, the Safavids in Persia were a whole different kind of threat. This one wasn't just political or military. This one was personal. You've got to understand, this was way more than just a squabble over some border territory. The Safavids were challenging the very idea that you are the rightful leader of the Muslim world. They were actively stirring up trouble inside our own borders, especially over in Anatolia. Ignoring them wasn't an option. To ignore them was to basically invite a civil war. This was, and I mean this quite literally, an existential threat.
Now, your great-grandfather, Selim I, he understood this perfectly. And his solution was, well, it was brutal, but man, was it effective. Just look at his playbook here. Step 1, secure the throne. He made sure there were 0 internal rivals left to challenge him. Ruthless? Absolutely. But from his perspective, totally necessary. Step 2, crush any descendant home without mercy. And step 3, he leveraged technology. At the Battle of Chaldiran in 1514, he brought muskets and cannons against their old-school cavalry. It was a massacre, and the result, a decisive victory that basically secured our eastern border for a whole generation.
And the result of all that? Well, in just 8 short years, think about that, only 8 years, Selim expanded the empire by 70%. 70! That number isn't just land, it's Egypt, it's the Levant, it's the holy cities. He didn't just contain a rival, he fundamentally transformed our empire. He shifted its entire center of gravity. That, Your Majesty, is what decisive action gets you.
So power on land is one thing. It's fundamental. But true, lasting imperial dominance, that is projected from the sea. The oceans and seas,
They're the highways for wealth, for armies, for influence. So, let's turn our attention to the waves.
Now, it would be nice to think of the Mediterranean as our own private lake, but it's just not the reality. As you can see, yeah, we're the biggest player on the board, but we are constantly being challenged. You've got the Venetians, you've got the Habsburgs' allies, you even have the Portuguese causing trouble for us out in the Indian Ocean. Every one of them wants a piece of the action, a piece of those vital trade routes. And let's be clear, controlling the seas means controlling the flow of money and men. It's that simple.
Which brings us to a really important lesson in strategy, the whole Cyprus affair. So, in 1570, we take the island. Huge strategic win. But it pokes the hornet's nest. All the Christian powers team up, and we suffer a major naval defeat at the Battle of Lepanto the very next year. A lot of rulers would have panicked. They would have cut their losses. But not us. Your predecessors understood the long game. They just rebuilt the fleet. And in the end, they secured Cyprus for good. The lesson here is absolutely critical. A single lost battle does not mean you've lost the war. You have to keep your eye on the main prize. Strategic goals always trump tactical setbacks.
All right, now for a lesson in pure pragmatism. Because as the century dragged on, the map started to change. The old enemies were still there, for sure, but new doors started to open. New chances for alliances, often from the last place you'd ever expect.
It all comes down to one simple question, really. Can the enemy of your greatest enemy become your best friend? And the answer, as Sultan Murad III so brilliantly proved, is an absolute resounding yes. Turns out the Habsburgs' biggest problem could become our most valuable asset.
And this is how he sold it. It was a masterstroke of diplomatic spin. He basically argued that, you know what, Islam and Protestantism actually have more in common with each other than either one does with Roman Catholicism, because we both reject their use of idols. Just like that, he created the perfect ideological cover for an alliance with Queen Elizabeth I of England. It was a purely practical move, but he made it look like it was all about principle. Genius.
And here's what came out of it. This agreement in 1581. It was a total win-win. England gets special access for its merchants to our ports, a massive boost for their economy. And what do we get? Oh, just a powerful new ally to act as a counterweight to the Habsburgs right in their own backyard. And the best part? We didn't have to fire a single shot to make it happen. That is the art of diplomacy.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. We've looked at the battlefields, the royal courts, the high seas, all the challenges of the 16th century. Now, let's boil all of that down. Let's distill all those hard-won lessons into a simple set of rules for your reign.
Memorize these points, Your Majesty. Burn them into your mind. They are the absolute foundation of your power. Rule number 1, secure your throne, always. Without stability at home, nothing else matters. Next, wield both the sword and the pen. Force and diplomacy go hand in hand. Always leverage new technology. Control the seas, control your destiny. Be completely pragmatic about who your friends are. And this last one is crucial. Know when to stop. Know when the war is won and it's time to lock in what you've gained.
So, this playbook, it's yours now. The threats haven't gone away. The Habsburgs are still out there. The Safavids are still a problem. The seas still need to be controlled. And you can bet that new threats and new opportunities for alliances are just over the horizon. The 16th century gave us the blueprint for power, but the choices, well, those, Your Majesty, are now yours and yours alone. Your briefing is concluded.